Just a couple of quick announcements related to our speakers. We do have a lunch today at noon. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. The lunch is at 11:30. For those of you that have not got your grain insurance yet, this is a great way to do it. I just got through calculating and sending in midterm grants yesterday, and some of you really need that insurance. Okay? So I strongly encourage you because it's going to be the difference between a C and a D for a lot of people. So, or between a B and an A. So make sure you come get a free lunch. You get to visit with some really great eggs, guys. Y'all are going to love these guys. And they've got a really cool opportunity they're going to tell you about. And you get great insurance. Yes, it's a win all the way around. Let me just share with you that Dr. Liz will not be with us for the near future. We don't know exactly how long before he can come back. He became ill on Friday and is in the hospital. Has been all weekend. And I know he would value your thoughts and your prayers. He's doing good. He was in good spirits yesterday, but still, it's going to keep him out of the classroom, and he hates that. He literally loves being here with you guys. Okay, so keep him in your thoughts if you will, and we'll forge ahead, and he hopefully will be rejoining us before too long. All right, Cody, would you like to come introduce our speakers?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Ax, we have a pretty dynamic duo that is going to be joining us today. We've worked with Vinny Keith for about the past 3 to 4 years, and it's just been such a really great opportunity to see the students who have gone through their internship programs and who have gone to work for them and the success that they are having at Vinny Keith, specifically in the San Antonio division. If you are interested in the food service industry, or if you're like, I don't even know what the food service industry is about, you're going to learn a lot about that today. The value that Vinny Keith really brings, and what you guys will see throughout the time that they're speaking is, what you will really find is that they really value their people that work for them, and that creates a dynamic culture that they are really involved with. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed our speakers today. Like Dr. Springfield mentioned, we are going to have a lunch today at 11:30. Tacos. Can't be tacos, right? So if you will join me in welcoming these two speakers, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Keith Scudday. I am the Assistant General Manager for Vinny Keith Food Service in the San Antonio division, and my counterpart is Digiosia, and he's got the same role, and we work together in San Antonio and helping that division along their way. I actually took the 315 class back in 2000, and so in a way it led me to what I'm doing today, so every time I get the opportunity to come in, I thank you guys for having me. Does anybody know what food service distribution is? Yes, sir.
Does it got to do with dropping off at grocery stores and restaurants?
Restaurants. I mean, technically we can do some grocery stores, but what food service actually is food service distribution is we supply food and non-food products to organizations that are doing meals in mass quantities. So where it doesn't make sense to picture some of these restaurants in your mind, maybe going to the grocery store with 5 or 6 shopping carts, trying to get everything they need. That's not really logistically efficient. So they need to buy product in wholesale quantities, and that's what food service distribution is. We have warehousing, transportation services, and everything to get that product to those facilities. And the people that do that are your restaurants, hospitals, nursing homes, catering, anybody that's going to be making these meals in big quantities like that. So Vinny Keith is a broadline food service company, and where that differs from some others is you may have a fresh seafood company that just supplies seafood, or a produce company. But what a broadliner does is we're really set up to be a one-stop shop to get everybody's needs out to them. So these are our major categories that we do. So produce, and that's your fresh fruits and vegetables. Dry goods, so that's kind of your grocery items, your canned goods, flour, spices, ingredients, those kind of things. Frozen goods, so prepared desserts, appetizers, French fries, those kind of things. We do a lot of frozen breads, high-end things like that. We also do the proteins. So we have them both fresh and frozen on beef, poultry, pork, and seafood. Then your non-food items, if you can picture anything that's not editable but gets thrown away, that falls into non-food. So that's foam cups, plates, plastic cutlery, and then all your chemical and sanitary needs for the facilities. Those all fall into non-food. And then lastly is the equipment and supplies. So those are everything from what's on the table, as far as the plates and silverware, the glassware, and those kind of things, to at the back of the house, the pots and pans and utensils they use back there. And then also the equipment. So we can get everything from ovens and grills and refrigerators and those kind of things. So again, a broadliner can really take care of 99% of the needs that these facilities may have. I'm going to show a quick video. It kind of does a good job, I think, of describing all the different things that have to take place for the product to get to the customer's back door.
Signature dishes. They define a restaurant. But without the food and ingredients for them, they never happen. Professional kitchens, from fine dining restaurants to college cafeterias, count on the best food being available on time, every time, and delivered in perfect condition. And that's only possible because of what food service distributors do. How do distributors ensure a safe and efficient supply chain? How do we make high-quality food, sourced from hundreds of manufacturers, available on demand? How do we get ingredients our customers need from our warehouse to their professional kitchen? It begins when a product reaches our warehouse. We unload the products, inspect them to ensure nothing has been damaged, check the quantity, quality, and temperature to make sure they're right. If anything isn't, it never gets to our customers. Then we enter them into our inventory. That's when the forklifts come in. It's called put away, and it's not as simple as it sounds. We track and manage where everything is. We rotate stock so our customers are always getting the freshest ingredients. For dry ingredients or canned goods, we store them at the optimal temperature. For products that require refrigeration, we use our refrigerators and freezers. And these aren't your standard refrigerators. These are tens of thousands of cubic feet big. Each one has multiple temperature zones and different humidity levels, ensuring that every product, from a head of lettuce to ice cream, is stored in the exact environment required for safety and freshness. Why do we do this? Why take such care? Because when a customer places an order, we want to get it right. The first time and every time. And when an order comes in, a whole new set of protocols spring into action. We plan how the truck will be loaded for maximum efficiency, map the route, delivery sequence, temperature control, avoid cross-contamination. Once complete, the selectors start building pallets by moving through the warehouse to pick each item for the shipment. They ensure the right product and the right quantity are selected for each customer, label the items on each pallet, and then stage the pallets for loading onto the trucks. During this process, they are sure to follow established requirements for freshness and safety. So why is all this so important? Because in the U.S. alone, hundreds of millions of meals are enjoyed away from home each day, and food service distributors deliver millions of cases of product to make that all possible. Our job is vital, even if people outside the food service industry don't know about us. From hospitals to middle schools, from your favorite restaurant to a company cafeteria, food service distributors ensure professional kitchens have fresh, safe food so that a chef can delight every customer.
For those of you outside the industry, I mean, there's a lot going on there. You go to a restaurant, you get the food, you know they prepared it, but I don't know how many of you kind of had a feeling of all the different things that go on to make that happen. I know before I got into this industry, I certainly didn't have any idea, and we kind of called the hidden industry that nobody really knows about, because if we do our job really well, nobody notices that it really happened other than the facility. I mentioned this class kind of got me where I'm going. So I was an ag student. I had no desire to be in sales or anything. I looked at salesmen as kind of the used car mentality. It wasn't really where I wanted to go. But during this class, I had to do the outside ride-along. And I rode with a individual who was working for a food distributor in the Houston market. And going through and seeing the business-to-business sales transactions and the fact that they needed this supply from somewhere and you can really partner up with your customers was really intriguing. And what I learned on that outing. But then I went back and I was going to go work for Cargill or Carina or Zachary Construction. But I graduated 2 months after the 9/11 catastrophe, and so the economy took a little dip, and a lot of those jobs dried up. So I called the individual that I rode with and asked him, how things were going in his world, and said, man, it's going great. Everybody's got to eat. And really kind of set in that it can take a dip, but it's much more recession-proof industry than a lot of other jobs and things that are out there. So started doing some research and was told by some industry individuals that Benny Keith was the one to work for, and I got on with them and almost 18 years ago, and been doing that ever since. And I went through a progression of some different positions. Started out as a sales trainee, actually working in the warehouse, pulling orders during the day and doing some inventory processes, and then sold in the hill country, Texas hill country out west of the Austin area. And then moved into a district sales manager role where I was helping the team build and helping them create more income and helping the company at the same time. And then I was able to move over into purchasing. We actually bought the frozen lines that we mentioned earlier and the seafood, and then moved into the role I'm doing now for about 6 years ago, where I'm working with the south half of our sales teams throughout the South Texas market. Our division shifts from Jarrell to Brownsville, and then from Columbus over to Del Rio. So I work with everything from San Antonio South, and then Marco works with everything from San Antonio up north and Austin and the Hill Country area. And then he works with our purchasing and procurement team, and then I work with the operations and transportation. So again, I don't say anything to tell you, anything that I've done, but I would say to keep your eyes open. A lot of you might have a career or goal or path that you want to take in life, and that's fantastic. But always kind of pay attention to what's behind door number 2 and where that might lead, because you never know. It could be great things, especially if you weren't aware of the industry or the opportunities that might exist. So does anybody, can anybody kind of guess or try to describe what a food service salesperson does on a daily basis? Okay. Yes?
A lot of phone calls, a lot of cold calls, maybe?
A lot of cold calls. So prospecting is a big piece of it. The industry itself loses about 10 to 12% of their customers every year. I mean, how many's been in a restaurant and then 2 weeks later you go back and the place just closed? Didn't make it. They close all the time. So our sales folks are responsible for building their own territories. And so they have to go out, bring new customers on, grow those customers, and continue to add. And they have to do it at a pace that outpaces the industry with just restaurants closing beyond anybody else's control. Yes, sir?
When they close like that, so for your industry, do they pay off up front for the food, or do they pay on as it goes?
No, hopefully we get paid, but it is an industry where terms are given out to customers. Now, not everybody gets the same terms. It's just like, you applying for a loan. You're going to get terms based on your creditworthiness. So they get terms based on the creditworthiness of their business. And that can be, majority of it is still COD, but you might have a weekly account, a 2-week account, or a 30-day account. So it is something that the sales reps really have to be aware of, let us know if they see problems, because if an account does close and they don't pay, the sales rep is responsible for some of the money that gets lost if we don't get it out of the customer through collections process and things like that. So, great question. It's a big part of what the sales rep does on an everyday basis. Just control those collections, watch what's going on, And the reason we put the emphasis on them and give them some skin in the game on loss of money is they're the ones seeing it. So if you're in an account and it's 12:30 and they're known for their lunch and there's 4 people sitting there and then they give you an order for $5,000-$10,000, what's going on? This doesn't make sense. So that's where you can call in the credit department and say, hey, I think something's fishy here. You might want to check this out. Let us know. How do you think to your point on cold calling, how do you think they go around? And you said phone calls, for the most part, most of these transactions are done in person. Some of the replenishment orders and things like that can be done over the phone, but most conversations, business-style conversations, are done in person. So, does anybody have any way, how do we go and find new customers? Go eat. Yeah, the old-fashioned way to do it is still the number one way to do it is literally drive down the road and say, there's an account, let me go see what's going on there. And that go eat, especially for the privately owned companies, a lot of times they're the ones that run the registers or they're somewhere close, so you can go have a meal, kind of do your research, see where they might have needs, and then thank the person at the register for the food that you had or something like that, and you give a card at that point. Is there a time I can come by and visit with you when you're not busy? Another way to do it is we have a system where you can put a zip code in, and it'll bring up all the food operators, food handlers licensed within the area, so you can see who's buying food in bulk quantities. I've told sales reps many times, I've done it myself. All the competition's truck. Everywhere he stops is now a prospective customer where you can see what they're doing. Right? There's no secrets. Another one too would be referrals. So it's a big referral business. So restaurants are technically competing with each other, right? But unlike a lot of industries, they talk to each other all the time. They're involved with organizations together. And most of the good operators want everybody to do well because it makes an environment well and it creates a restaurant atmosphere for that community. And so they really want everybody to put out a good product so that people come to that area to eat. And the more you get coming into that area to eat, the more everybody benefits. So they talk to each other all the time. So the better relationship you have with your account and everybody within those accounts, those referrals become huge because they might be talking to another operator and say, I'm having problems with my service company, I'm not getting my truck on time or they're out of everything. Oh, you should call so-and-so. He or she can really help you. They do a great job for us. So, and the other thing is have multi-levels of contacts within those restaurants. The dishwasher may become the line cook, may become the kitchen manager, and maybe start doing the orders. So just try to take off the blinders when you walk in and only talk to your one decision maker that's giving you that order. These folks move around a lot. They go to a lot of different places. It happens, but it's very rare that you get somebody who's been at the same restaurant for 10 to 20 years without going anywhere, without changing positions. So knowing everybody and you have an account, they may become the kitchen manager over here. So they call you up and say, hey, let's do some business. So referrals is a big piece of it. And then what do you think the number one thing is that we want the customer, prospective customer to see when we talk to us? What conversations are we trying to have? Anybody have any thoughts?
How you can make more money?
Exactly. It's not about, the first question they're going to ask is how do you save you money, right? And what's your price? Are you cheaper than the other guy? But the long-term relationship and benefit with these kind of partnerships is showing them or providing ways that they can make more money for themselves and you increase their revenue. You can do that in a number of ways. Obviously, they'll make some more money if you have cheaper prices. But if you go in on price, you're going to get thrown out on price. So how do you provide that partnership with them? And that can be a number of things. If you've got some restaurant experience yourself, or we have consultants in our company, we have specialists that can go in and help them put out a better product or run additional revenue with specials. But how do you target their customers' markets? How do you change up your menus so that the people are buying the things that you make the most money on? All those different things that you can go in and help them drive their revenue and drive their income, then makes them look at you as a true partner within their company and hopefully a vital piece that they don't want to get rid of. Because if they lose you as a salesperson and that distributor, they want them to feel like, well, my revenue is going to go down if I make the choice to go somewhere else. So the other part is the customer retention. So 90% of our sales are replenishment sales. We want most of what we sell, they use, and so we just want to keep filling their shelves. So it's unlike the one-time transaction where you're selling a computer or a piece of equipment. We want those repeat sales all the time and continue to fill their shelves. And that may be anything. I think on average our customers buy about 3 times a week. They get orders. Some of them get it every day, depending on the facilities that they have storage or what their business is. And some of them may only get once a month. It's all over the gamut. And then as far as how we want you to see those customers, but that again depends on the customer's basis. So I would say most sales reps see their customers maybe twice a week. They'll do a couple of those orders in person, maybe one over the phone, maybe one will be put in on our online ordering system. But there's some customers that are so large and have so many things going that they may have to go every day. So it's just all over the place. And then you have to continue to build that partnership that you created with them, and when you showed them you're going to make the revenue, you always have to be working that, because our competitors have a lot of the same items we do. So once you lose that mindset that you're not the one creating the revenue for the business, then they'll bring in the next distributor. And so it's a constant piece that we're working on to keep the retention there. But you can really form good partnerships with the customer and help them be successful with them. And then another opportunity that goes along with the industry, unlike some of them where they're not allowed anymore, there's a lot of promotion opportunities where you can make additional incomes, go on nice trips, and do things that are all part of just doing really what our everyday job is. So vendors will partner up with us and say, hey, we want to really focus in on these group of items. So we'll give case quotas or different things to sales reps, and if they exceed those or beat their peers, they can get extra cash, they can get gift cards, they can get little gifts. Yes.
What do you guys want to see from potential customers when you're looking at taking on a new account?
As far as qualifying a customer as a good customer, we want a customer that's got a good reputation in the market. Somebody that if we do partner up with, we can say, we do business with them, and you get that, oh wow, if they do business with them, I want to do business with this company too. Good financial standing. You don't want to go in a situation where you're probably going to eat some money at the end of it. And a good customer, it doesn't work out every time, but the most successful ones are the ones that are good operators, that understand business, and they want a partner out of their distributor. So we have plenty of accounts, and we will always have accounts where they do, the grid buy system where, what's your price on cheese? Okay, you get it this week, they get it this week. And you just go line by line. We do business like that because some of those customers just buy a lot. But what we really are looking for is that customer that wants to partner up, that wants to allow us the ability to help them make more revenue. And, we can help each other be more efficient, bigger stops, bigger drops, and those can provide better pricing for them. Yes, sir.
What would you say your best way is to maintain that 90% customer retention? The best what you do to keep them around?
The biggest thing is the reps that are the best at it are the ones that are always bringing something to the table to show that benefit and set them apart from the competition coming in behind them. And that can be, we've got one guy, he's always got product every time he goes in. He sees his customers on average once a week, but he always sets it up where they know what time he's coming, they know what they're going to be, and he's got their attention because it's pre-planned that he can go in and he can show an item. He shows an item every single time he goes and sees a customer. Sometimes it may be a little base to change up the flavor of the recipe. Sometimes it may be a whole new beef or poultry program. And then he'll cook it up for him and say, here's how you serve it, here's how you put it, here's how you cost it on your menu, and he'll do the whole thing for them. And so they look forward to him coming in. And so when the competition comes in and says, well, I got that chicken too, it's 50 cents less a case. It's like, yeah, but I wouldn't have it on my menu if it wasn't for this individual. We've got another lady in San Antonio. She is a true student of the industry, and she's always talking to her customers about trends and where things are going and how to keep up with the market. and how to market to their customers. So she's good with items too, but she goes to that broader scale and really helps the business aspect of it, and helps her customers go sourcing things. She does a lot of catering business. So she's always coming up with new innovative things that are out there that they can use to move around their product or to serve in and to do different things like that. So those are the biggest things that help keep that customer's mentality that I need in this part of the business. So on these promotions, when I mentioned the cash, but there's a lot of trips that can be won too. So just this, we had a group come back from Denver a couple weeks ago. We got another trip going to San Diego. There's a group that's going to go to Guatemala on a sail fishing trip in January. So a lot of things going on. A year ago, we had a year-long big campaign promotion to grow sales for our new building that we just opened up. And these folks got to go to Hawaii for almost a week, and a lot of these trips you get to take a spouse or significant other with you. So really good opportunities again for doing what's really kind of our daily jobs. So some good perks involved. Any other questions on kind of the basic sales routine or that they go through? We'll talk a little bit about the company. Benny Keith has been around for 113 years and started out as a produce company. And during Prohibition, they made a relationship with Mr. Anheuser to stock some things when they couldn't make beer. And then that relationship continued after Prohibition, and they ended up starting distributing Anheuser-Busch products as part of the company. Then we now have morphed into what we are, which is two separate companies. We've got our beverage division and our food service division. And the food service became a broad line company like we talked about now. So we do way more than produce, we do all of the above. And then the beverage division still does Anheuser-Busch products for about the northern half of the state, and then they do a lot of craft beers and some wines and spirits statewide as well. It is a privately held company. It's owned by a family, lives in the DFW area, third generation ownership now. And they, we were talking earlier, they still are fully involved with the company, go to work every day with the men who are running the company, keeping the culture instilled. And that the number one priority of their culture is that the employee comes first. We're all here to support the employees and give the employees the means to have a good living and a good way of life and be respected by the company that they work for. We're a regional company, so we operate, I think Marco just said, we're in 16 states now. And even though we are regional, we're not nationwide like some of our competitors. We're still the 8th largest sales company in the country. So in the markets we are in, our market share is very strong. We do well. Here's a geographic footprint of where we ship right now. And then here's the divisions where we actually have warehouses. So everywhere there's a star, there's a warehouse, and then Oklahoma goes up to Nebraska, and you can kind of see. And our newest location is in Alabama, which is really helping us open up the southeastern part of the country. Yes.
Do you think the amount of distribution centers you have, grow and you think where you are right now, limits how far you deliver, and how far that sales region can reach?
What we're doing, so going into Alabama is just another step. So we are definitely growing. The Midwest is a great place to grow because that's where a lot of products come from. So the closer you can put your distributors to the fields and the manufacturing plants where they come from is great for logistics. And then the southeastern part of the country is just booming. So you go where the people are. So the distribution centers are strategically located to be able to get places. In the valley and in Austin too. I don't know if you see the trucks going down the road and they're pulling 2 trailers with them. So that's what we'll do because drivers only have a certain amount of time. So we'll send trucks down to the valleys, full truckloads, and that driver, all he does is he takes 2 full trailers down, drops those, picks up 2 empties from the day before, and he comes back, and we have local drivers with their own trucks down there, and they make the deliveries. And so that's how we expand out from those distribution centers. And then we'll continue as far as growth opportunities. Yes, there's more coming. Alabama created what was it, 27 job moves throughout the company. When Alabama opened, we had our vice president a couple of years ago retire, and that changed, I think, 15 positions within different branches where everybody kind of backfilled those and gave everybody positions to open and grow and go into management or different new territories or a lot of things like that. So, yes, ma'am.
For such a large area of distribution, how do you keep or make sure that the quality of everything stays pretty uniform?
So, as far as our standards within the warehouses, they're pretty uniform. We have third-party companies that come in, and we actually just had one in San Antonio right now. And the scope and detail that they go in, we paid them to do this pretty insane audit for us. And they'll come in and they'll check every single thing we do, and the temperature zones, the logging, how it goes in and out. On the video earlier, it showed that nothing that's perishable breaks the cold chain until it comes out. So it comes in on a cold dock, gets put in a certain temperature zone, and in those coolers, even the humidity is controlled. So on a lettuce room, you're going to have a higher temperature, high humidity room, but then on the beef room, you're going to have a low temperature. It's not freezer, but it's low temperature, low humidity to keep all the product in the best quality shape that they can be in based on what they are. And then they go back on the cold dock and then back in the refrigerated vehicles. And our trucks have 3 compartments. They have freezer, cooler, and dry area on each of the trailers. And so all that's very monitored and maintained. On those trucks, we have units that will tell us throughout the day if a unit's getting too cold. It'll relay back to the shop so they can notify somebody, so it's not always just left up to the driver to do the right thing because they get in a hurry and they want to keep going. So we have some checks and balances there to make sure we have scanning on the truck so we understand that everything that's on the order gets there, it's scanned, that information is sent back. So a lot of checks and balances and systems in place to service the customers as best as possible. As far as the different products, we don't always stock the same products because different markets will have different needs. A good example of that is fajita. So we eat fajitas all over the state of Texas, right? But the Houston market really likes the outside round cut off the cattle, and the San Antonio Valley market really like the inside round cut off the cattle. So same items, but 2 different parts of the state want 2 different raw products to make that happen. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir.
What would you say is the largest cost? Would it be, I always think either transportation or storage?
Transportation. And it's because of the people. So we have, I think right now we're pushing 275 drivers. And drivers is a highly sought after position in the nation right now. It's we're at the biggest driver shortage nationwide than they've ever had, and a lot of that is the people that are driving are getting a little older and they want to do different things, and there's not a lot of young folks getting into the industry, and so it's really at the same time freight and production is at an all-time high. So when you need the most drivers, you have the least, and so you have to pay our drivers a decent wage just to be competitive and keep them on the road. So there's that, and then the fuel. Right. So a lot of fuel involved. That's one reason the shuttle, because you're running 1 truck down the road instead of 2 every time. So cut down on all that. It's the labor piece. So in the building, we have labor too, but they work on piece pay. So they get paid, like the guys that select all night long, they get paid on pieces. So the faster they go, and the better they do without making mistakes, the more money they can make. But that's built into the case because it's all based on how many pieces they put. Yes, ma'am.
Is it the company's long-term goal to distribute to all 50 states?
I don't know. We want to continue to grow. I think if we ever go to the West Coast, that'd probably be the last piece of it. they really want to go up the Midwest and the Southeast, and then probably up even to the full East Coast before we decide to cross the Rocky Mountains. But I mean, I would say one day would that go nationwide probably. So they are a conservative company, so they want to grow. We have to grow to stay relevant, but they want to do it very smartly. We're a debt-free company, so we have not ever taken out a loan to buy a company or build a new division or anything like that. So they want to grow when the money's there to grow. So it may not be an overnight type situation like some of the corporate hill companies. But that's a good thing too, because if you grow too fast, if you're not ready for it, it can really cause some problems. Yes, ma'am.
So like Cisco's a really big distributing company. What do y'all do differently than them to stay competitive or like on top of them?
Cisco's our largest competitor. They do a good job on systems and things like that. What we do to really set ourselves apart, I think, is number one, our people. We really try to put the best sales force out there today. So our goal is to have every one of our sales individuals be able to be that partner and provide that relationship. They do a little different. They put a lot of that emphasis on some of their specialists and things like that, but we'd rather have our frontline salesperson be able to have those conversations. So as soon as the customer asks a question, it can be answered without having, well, what was that where you come back. We also try to be a little bit easier to do business with as far as the items that customers want. We have, in San Antonio, we have about 18,000 different line items. I think the last time I heard theirs was more than 12,000. So just have more items that are readily available and not having to go through special order processes and be able to get to them quicker what they want to make their menu the way they want to make it. Yes, sir.
Do you guys produce any of the products that you sell?
Not in our distributor facilities, but we do. You can see this Win Meat Company and the Kelly Foods. So these are two companies that we bought. Win Meat is a protein company, so they do produce hamburger patties, cut steaks, some other proteins. They'll cut their own pork chops specifically for customers' needs and do some things like that. And then Kelly Foods is a sausage manufacturing company. They have their own line of sausages and chorizo and some other things like that. So we do produce out of there. Now we're also owners, or we're member partners in Marcon, which is a produce co-op out of California. So through the co-op, we have technically ownership of that, but we don't. They run that separately, and they do all the produce. There's a little bit of an ownership crossover, but for the most part, everything we buy is made, and we're just the wheels in between the manufacturer and the end user. So we do have this is our new facility in San Antonio. We just moved into this January of last year. We went from 17 acres and 260,000 square feet to this facility is on 87 acres and 610,000 square feet. So a big jump. We were literally busting at the seams at the old place, so very nice to get some breathing room in the new building and be able to operate a lot more efficiently. But that just goes to show, to your point, on growth and opportunities and everything like that. There's a lot going on. This is just one of two brand new facilities within the last 2 years, and then there's a groundbreaking tomorrow for the facility in Alabama, and then Albuquerque is going to be building a new one too. So the company is really investing and growing and expanding, and all that just means new opportunities for a lot of people, either within the company now or people looking to get in. We have a internship program. It's a summer internship program that goes from Memorial Day week through about the middle of August. And it's not really focused on sales only. It goes through all the different departments so you get a better understanding of how the whole thing fits together, what kind of departments or areas you might be interested in going to work with after you graduate. It's geared towards getting the folks that are finishing up their junior year. But of course, there's exceptions and everything. So we're just going to show you a little video on this, and you might notice a couple of students actually come out of this program.
A huge benefit, I think, of this internship and now coming back to Benny Keith was rotating through the different departments. And I was able to further build a relationship with each and every one in the different departments. And I feel like when I come back, I will have no problem going to anyone because I know everyone is here to help one another.
From day one, everyone kind of told me, I kind of kept hearing the same thing. Benny Keith is a family. Benny Keith cares about our customers. Benny Keith cares about what we do for our team, how we approach people. And after my internship, everything started sticking. You realize that after many people tell you that we're a family, that people actually believe it.
On our first visit to Geo, I think that was really kind of something that was a pivotal moment in this internship program. Getting to meet some of the alums and the executive leadership, that was just a huge kind of eye-opener to how great of a company Benny Keith is.
We were very fortunate during our Aspire internship program last summer to partner with our partners at General Mills to provide a learning opportunity for our interns. In this regard, we had several General Mills professionals come in and do a fairly detailed presentation on the aspects of our business relationship, specifically from the perspective of a major manufacturer.
I think it was a huge opportunity for Michaela to see a broadline distributor and live the life of a broadline distributor. It's kind of interesting. She's been with General Mills maybe 7 to 8 weeks now, and she probably has a better working understanding of a broadline distributor than almost anybody in our whole building, which I think is really unique. And we are leveraging her and her insights to help us. And I talk a lot about reverse consultative selling, and she's a reverse consultant for us. So as an intern, where we're supposed to be training her, she's coming back and training us. So it's been a wonderful opportunity for her to learn, but also us to learn from her.
Benny Keith has really invested a lot of time, care, and effort into these individuals at the table up here, and we have been so thankful throughout the process.
That was the second class we had a couple of years ago. We've done this for 3 summers now. 4 of the individuals that have gone through the internship with us came out of this Weston program. So, and then we've got another one. So we have 5 individuals that have joined the company in different roles. Some of them went through the internship. These 2 individuals here, Shelby and Kenna, came on as district sales representatives. We had 2 other. One went into purchasing, and then George Gutierrez actually went into operations. So he's a day warehouse supervisor. He decided the operations was really the area that he wanted to be a part of. So a lot of opportunities there. If anybody's interested, they're sending me the link. The application process has actually opened. I anticipate it closing in January, but I will send Cody the specific information and a link on it for everybody to get and apply. I think they just opened it up, so I don't have that yet. I apologize, but I'll get that out to everybody if you have any interest. Also, I've got my card up here after the class, and then I'll put, there's my email address and phone number too if anybody has any questions on the internship or anything else. What other questions do we have about kind of the industry or the company or anything else? Yes, sir.
So you mentioned that the industry is strong, even during the recession. Are there times when the business is like high or low, or they just like stay pretty low?
Well, I mean, even during the recession, 08, 09, those were interesting, opportunistic years. The biggest thing we had going on there is the cost of the product was declining, so your sales, you can sell more cases, but your sales go down. So it's effective, but we still continue to sell cases at record paces even throughout those years. So that when I say industry proof, it can be effective, but it's certainly not like some other issues that are out there. As far as the when is it as a prime, I think that's kind of based on the region. San Antonio has a really high tourist rate because we have Port Aransas, South Padre Island, we have the Hill Country, we have Austin, we have the Riverwalk. So from spring break till school starts up in August is really our peak season. We have good falls because there's conventions in San Antonio. There's different things going on in the fall. A lot of activity in our market. So kind of the fall and then spring through August are our peaks. If you look at somebody like Oklahoma, who does a lot of school business and things like that, they may be the opposite. They're a little lighter in the summertime, and then throughout the school year, when school's in session is when they really are big. So we kind of all balance it out. It kind of depends on what part of the country you're in, what you got going on. Yes, ma'am.
How many internship applicants do you expect to send?
That's a good question. I don't know. So the filter process for that starts at corporate level. So I actually haven't been a part of going through how many applicants come in. The one thing good about this, it is a corporate program. So you can apply, you go and you pick the division that you want to apply for. They usually hire 1 to 2 interns per division for the summer. They have talked about expanding that a little bit. If the division wants to do a few more than that, then they have the ability to. So, but again, it goes back to the quality of the candidates and what the division's trying to achieve.
One more question.
You got 3 hands. Yes, ma'am.
You've been with the company for over 18 years. What has made you want to stay for as long as a really unique position, right?
The culture of the company, the fact that they really put everything they can into making the employee the focal point, to go to work and be respected for what you do, and be given the tools to be successful and help other people be successful.
So guys, we have heard today about a great opportunity, about a really cool company. We've heard it from somebody that sat in the chairs where you're sitting, that went through 315, had this class, and took what he learned in here and has made a very successful career. We haven't heard from Marco. I wish we could have, because Marco's a 315, is a former 315 student as well. And both of them will share with us before class how much this particular class influenced their decisions once they got out. So I hope it has the same effect on you guys. Don't forget to turn in your speaker evaluations towards being here today. And make sure you have read chapters 5 and 6 when you come back on this. Help me thank our speakers.